Hey guys, this is CasualNerdHammer.net, and I'm bringing around 3 of the Kings of the Keystone Two. This is the third and final round, and it's a push round, which basically means you have heavy loot counters. You got to get them on the other side of the board. We don't randomize it. I think we do 3 each and then 1 in the center. And I am facing Alex and his Salamanders. Alex is a very good player, definitely going into Masters for the Mid-Atlantic region, and I'm pretty thankful that I'm not playing against his dwarfs because he's just would slaughter me, I think. But he is playing Salamanders. He told me he just wanted a little break and a breather, try something different. So I'm excited to play Salamanders. I've only played against them one other time, and that list didn't look anything like this one. So I'm pretty stoked to play Alex. He's a good guy, and we actually had dinner afterwards, which was really cool. Had a good time. Pretty much ate most of the sushi in the ocean. Anyway, I got my Gore Riders out in front of my half-breeds, and this is something I'm going to have to reevaluate in the future. I really don't like this. It's good against shooting, but I keep forgetting that some of these armies that I'm facing don't really have much shooting. But my idea here is I just want to shoot this gap, get on the flanks like I usually do. I got a heavy loot counter here on this slave unit facing inwards, and in the center, got my troop of slaves. Just another slave block, another slave block. Got my my golems out in front looking at that forest, and the rest of the crew here with Basusu on the side. So that's the way my deployment's looking. On his side, I think these are ancients on a carnosaurs. Got a little skink unit, and this little guy, he shoots like a 15 flame weapon. He got his BSB there. These are the primes. They're just sword and board, so I think they might have CS. I'm not really 100% sure. He got a regiment of primes, another regiment of primes. I think this big unit here, with the old Salon in it, I think he's carrying 2 loot counters. This one's countering 1 loot counter. Another regiment of primes, and he has a flying hero. These guys, heavy or large infantry foot dudes, forget what they're called, and another unit of skinks, and then he has another guy. He flies hero on some kind of a flying dragon type thing, and then another of the flame dudes. So turn 1, he decides to go first and pushes up like this. He notices exactly what I'm doing on the left side, so he brings his flying monster dude and shooty breath weapon guy over here to handle those, and he just pushes up pretty aggressively, as I'd expect out of out of the Salamanders. He's a little tentative here on his left flank, my right, and I do have some good range here, so I imagine he's just trying to keep some distance. He gives me the Gore Riders. He gives me enough distance to charge in there. I might take that just to delay some things. But other than that, I think I don't even know if he had any shooting. So my turn. Yeah, I decide to put those Gore Riders in. I don't feel like it's too bad of a move. It gives me an opportunity to position some of my heavy hitters in counter of him having to go through those Gore Riders on his next turn. And there's the center loot counter, by the way. I'm trying to think where my loot counters are. Yeah, I got one on the grotesques. I think I have one on these guys. Another one on these guys. Yeah. So yeah, they got one. And over here, I'm just staying out of range of his skinks. His breath weapons, yeah, can hit, but I'm, Pasusi's giving the gargoyles inspiring. So I'm just playing the range game with on this side, and I push my grotesques up to get them in any charge range here. Yep, that's just the distance on that side. And on this side, I do push up the gap. I was really debating whether to even take the half-breeds up that way. I was considering just bringing them this way. Because, I think the monster, if he charges the Gore Riders, will probably take him in one go. But I really just gave him the opportunity to fly in behind here, and I don't really like doing that. I at least want, if somebody has a big flying monster and they want to get behind me, I at least want them to bring consequences, and I didn't give him any consequences here, and I feel like that's a mistake on my part. Yep, the rest of my guys, I'm just pushing up here. I decide with my breath weapon, I take a shot at this regiment here, and do 3 wounds, but they are perfectly fine. And other than that, it's turn to Salamanders. So he decides to take the breath weapon dude into my Gore Riders. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, like I said, I just gave him the opportunity to fly in behind my lines, which I really don't like. And his individual with Honey Maze does fly in behind here. And his 1 regiment of primes charges my troop of slaves. And these guys go back into the Gore Riders, who should clear them out. He moves his skinks up like such. I think he takes a shot at, I think, my gargoyles. And not much he can do with these guys. He's still trying to play the range game here. He doesn't want to get close enough to the grotesque. But he does push up. I think gets breath weapon, gets onto the gargoyles. Over here, yeah, these guys only do 1 wound. And immediately when I see this, I'm like, man, I screwed myself. I really just want to turn the Abyssals around, the Bristol half-breeds, and just say, all right, you got me. I'm giving up this side. Yeah, I mean, that's just brutal. Yeah, these guys make short work of my troops, and the other troops of Gore Riders can't stand the muscle of a horde of primes. And yeah, so my turn 2. I decide he brought the skinks up to chaff up this horde. So on my turn, I decide to. This was a big decision. This was a big moment of the game. So I'm trying to work out all these charges and figure out what's best for me, where I can protect my flanks, where I can hit the hardest. And so what I decided to do is I this wounded unit, he actually got a heal off on him. I decided that maybe my breath weapons would be enough to get through and at least be a tough nerve check for them. I don't think he has inspiring near them. I think this BSB guy's a little out of the way. So I'm thinking if I can get both of my fire teams, that's 20 breath weapons. I think their defense 5, so they're pretty tough, but you never know. You might push a couple wounds through, force a bad nerve check, and get lucky. You never know. I like my horde going against a regiment of them, so I decided to take them up. They are charging out of. Oh no, that's not woods. That's a hill. So they're hitting full force there. And really, even after, and I decided to charge the skinks. Even after combats here, if I don't kill them, even if I kill them or I don't kill them, I feel like I'm in a good position, like chaffing up. Of course, he has a guy in behind me, but I feel like as far as his main battle line goes, I'm in decent position. I am going to be taking a rear from his monster, but what can I do at this point? I didn't account for it. I just have to deal with the repercussions and react to it. And so in the middle, I decide, I'm like, look, this is a huge unit. This is a huge regiment, but I feel like I got enough muscle. My grotesque have Pathfinder. Yeah, my golems would be -1 to hit, but they do have elite, so I'm gonna throw them in there. And I noticed that the edge of his unit wasn't actually in the woods, so why not? I take my gargoyles in, put them in the flank. You never know. A couple more extra wounds could be the difference. In the nerve check. So I go a whole hog at it. I throw everything I have at this unit. I decide that in case this goes bad, yeah, I'm going to get flanked here by this unit. Unless these guys can overrun a certain way. I feel like I'm pretty protected here. Yeah, he's going to have counter charges, but I have him pretty much penned in, and I feel good. So I decided to take Basusu into the Carnosaurs, because it's going to protect the flank of the gargoyles if for some reason they don't pop this unit. And Pasusu, I don't know if she can hold up a charge against those connoisseurs. I was looking at their stats, and I'm just like, you know what, it's still worth it. If I can get a couple wounds on these guys, I think that protects me if this combat goes bad. And he has 2 loot counters on these guys, so it's objective wise is a big unit and a big target. So I just decide to go for it. I take my troops on this side. I take them back into the flame guy, fire breath guy, and I do it. I'm just like, all right, half breeds. I'm not gonna waste any time. I'm just gonna turn around. I know this guy's gonna be gone, but maybe late game cleanup. Fine. I conceded this side. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not gonna sit here and watch these 2 battle it out when I have a highly mobile cav unit that could do some damage in the late game. Well, why waste the time up there when I can, take a turn or two and get around this building the other way? Just I feel like I haven't played the Abyssal Half-Breeds that great in this tournament. So I do, and then I do 4 wounds to this guy, and I'm thinking, well, that was a mistake. But nerve check goes down, and I do not kill those guys. And then after combat here, yeah, I do kill his little skink unit. And here I do get through his regiment of primes, which is awesome. Look, I only did 1 wound with all my breath attacks on those guys in the middle. But the big story, I do take the big unit down, and that is absolutely huge. I did a lot of wounds. I think he was Snake Eyes twice. Yeah, super happy with the way that went. I make my reforms. Face like this. Gargoyles, I'm just there to chaff up. Probably could have put the gargoyle somewhere else, but just decided that to get these guys up an extra d6, I just had to face them that way. So turn 3 Salamanders. So we go at it. This was really close. We decided to roll off on it, and he gets the flank charge on these guys. I still think that's okay. He's at -1 to hit. I'm at defense 6. He doesn't have crushing strength, I don't think, and if he does, it's only 1. But I put all the loot markers on these guys. They now have 4 loot markers. Now holding 4 loot markers, or 3. It might be 3. Yeah, they're holding 3 right now. These guys get a flank. I think this is actually the one we weren't sure if it was a flank that we rolled off on. But yeah, they get a flank here. This was my fault. I could have positioned this. I could have just reformed these guys better. I was trying to get them in a position where both of these guys were in the flank, not really anticipating that he would go in here. So yeah, I mean, this is just bad reform on my side. I should have just made sure that these guys were there, but I just, as soon as it was so close, I was just like, wow, I really could have just made sure that was right, but I didn't. It was my fault, and he takes advantage. He takes these big guys into the flank of my my slaves. Slaves, they have good nerve. I think 2022. I typically always have a reroll around them. I think they can handle one round against a lot of things. I don't feel like they're as good as my Martyrs and Brotherhood with the regen and their Fearless 22. Like, I don't see Slaves in the same light as Martyrs, but I feel like they're pretty close. So over here, he takes his Honey Maze hero into one of my flame teams, and his Skinks, he decides to just chaff up, hold up my other slave unit. He charges in there. And on this side, yeah, his flame weapon guy, breath weapon guy goes back into, I should just know the names, but I don't, and goes back into the Gore Riders. And yeah, he decides to take the rear here with his champion on a flying monster dude. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that he takes this here instead of flying over and getting into the meat of things. I think he feels that maybe he can pop these guys in one turn with him in the rear, but I think he could have had some better options on this side. The 4 wounds, Basusu didn't do too bad on the Carnosaurs. They decide to go back into Basusu. I think he ends up taking some shots at these gargoyles. Yep, there's that charge. So the flying dude does 9 wounds to the does 9 wounds to my horde and wavers them. So that sucks because he needed 11 or 12 to waver them. So he rolled an 11. And I was just like, man, it would have just been so nice to countercharge this guy, hold him up at least one more turn, stop him from flying, and get the Abyssal Half-Breeds around. But that waiver roll is just, that's sickening. And these guys in the flank, yeah, they nailed my slave block and took them out. So they did a lot of wounds there. Again, that was my fault. I should have positioned those guys much better than that. And over here, look at these guys only did 3 wounds to the golems. That's good for me. I'm going to countercharge those guys. They have another loot counter. I think the golems can take them. They won't be hindered with, they have elite and vicious. So I feel pretty good about that on the countercharge. Yep, so turn 3 slave orcs. Oh yeah, these guys, they did two wounds to the slaves. So his shooting actually wavered these gargoyles. So it was a bit tricky. What I decided to do was I realized the grotesque were in the flank of the carnosaurs, and there was more than, what is it, like 3 millimeters or whatever, to be not corner to corner. I realized that they could fit there. The idea was I had to get the flyers out of the way. So since they were wavered on, let me see how this goes. Since they were wavered by shooting, they still can fly, so they're still nimble. So I got one pivot, and I got to move back half my distance for 5 inches, and it was just enough to fit the grotesques in here. They were definitely in the flank, and I just put them in there. That is huge for me. But Susu, look at, she has 7 wounds on her. She does go back inside. Um, but yeah, that was tough. I mean, that's just a move I felt pretty proud of. It's not something that everybody would see. I don't think I wouldn't see many opponents try to make this move, and it was just, I'm really really happy with the way that's going to go, because that's a lot of grotesque attacks in the flank, and they're not hindered or anything. So hopefully that'll be enough to take that unit. I do countercharge into the other prime regiment with my golems, and 3 wounds. Yeah, that's those dudes. And I just turn to shoot. I think I shoot the flame dragon team at his individual there. And over here, yeah, I take the 1 wound slaves back in, and I'm starting to swing the half breeds around. And I use my waver reform to just face this guy. I mean, just, it makes it a worse decision for him to go into the front, but maybe that wasn't the best idea, because if he does take this rear, then the half breeds are here. I don't know. Might not have been the best play. So turn 4, I guess I don't have a picture of the action. Um, let's see. Looks like I killed those guys. Okay, so he decides I don't kill those guys on the charge with the grotesque, but they're pretty badly wounded. So he decides to countercharge. He flies his big monster in at the golems, and he is going to be -1 to hit. So I'm hoping that the golems can hold out. And he brings his BSB over, and his flying guy goes into my other dragon team. I did kill his skinks, and look up here, I did kill his connoisseurs. So that was great. The grotesque really went in there, did what they're supposed to do, and I just reformed as such on my turn. So a lot there are now 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 loot counters on this golem unit. So this is the unit to protect, and even though he's definitely down in units, if he can kill these units and somehow keep those loot counters, that's a big swing in points. So everything, I think I even casted a heal on these guys. And if you notice, the base of the columns just grew. I thought they were large infantry at 40 mil, and my opponent was like, I think the abyssals are actually 50 mil. They're golems as compared to the dwarfs, which are I think 40. So I couldn't believe it. I looked it up. I feel so awful. I immediately went to the front of the store and bought the appropriate size base and put them on the appropriate size base. I don't think it had a huge impact. I mean, I've been playing with it like this, and no one has caught it up until now. I didn't catch it. There's no ill intent on my side to put them on the wrong size base. But yeah, they will now forever be on the correct size base moving forward. I feel like an ass, but it is what it is. So after combat, he only does 3 wounds to the now bigger base golems, and feeling pretty good with that. I really want to pop a heal on them, just try to get some of those wounds off, but they're going to be swinging away. So turn 4, I decided to countercharge into the large infantry dudes, and I fly Basusu, who this guy, even after an inch, was still in the woods, so Basusu was able to see him. I'm just going to go in there to take some pressure off the golems so that he won't be able to charge back into there. And the grotesque, I just take a flight at the fire breath guy. Then I'm going to reposition them down into the line here, because they do have loot counter, so I want them on the side for the points. The golems, or the gargoyles, I fly up like this, just giving them some range and some distance, and a facing where they can help support here. This unit I just face like such. It looks like my fire team was wavered with 6 wounds on him, so that's pretty impressive. Uh, so yeah, after combat, it looks like I may have wavered these guys, but I didn't kill them. They have 8 wounds on them now. They've been pretty tough. The golems really haven't been getting through on them. The winged guy, the monster, he's up to 4 wounds with Basusu, who is at 6, so she's in a precarious spot too. So we're gonna have to see how all that plays out. And over here, yeah, it's just a grotesque reforming, and that's the way that looks. Turn 5 Salamanders. I don't think these guys were able to go back in because I think they were wavered, so I'm going to have to take another turn to get rid of those. And he flies his Honeymaids guy and his hero back into Basusu, which she has 1 more wound on her. I don't know what happens there. Yeah, the pictures were getting kind of lax at the end here. But yeah, Basusu, I think, might have been wavered or still alive. So the counter charges on my turn. I take the whole horde into his Honey Maze guy, and I take the Gargoyles into his BSB. I take the Gore Riders into the rear of this unit, and my Abyssal Half-Breeds come over to look awesome, doing nothing. And I move the slave unit up. They have a loot counter on them too, so I'm doing desperately trying to get them across on the other side of the table. And so after combat, yeah, I do kill the big Croxagore-like guys, and Basusu is still alive. I do a ton of wounds on this guy, and it looks like I just waver him, unfortunately, but I do kill the Honey Maze guy. And turn 5, turn 6, yeah, I don't have a picture of the rest of it. I end up killing this guy and getting all my loot counters across the table. We didn't have to roll for turn 7 or anything. I had plenty of movement to do it. So it was a big win for the Abyssal Dwarfs. I ended up getting a full 20 points, which was absolutely huge. I needed to get 20. After I got it, I was thinking, wow, I have a good chance of placing top 3 now with 20 points. But as it turns out, I ended up finishing 4th. I mean, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd were just getting so many points. And it was, I think, Undead Elf, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so, I mean, elves are just reigning in my meta, really. I don't know how anyone else feels, but I feel like Elite is probably the best rule in the game, and that's why elves are just so good. I mean, everything that has Elite, and then a lot of stuff has Crushing 1 at least, and then you have Bane Chance to back it up with great heals and incredible shooting, blah, 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 blah. Elves are so good. I don't care what anybody says. They're definitely overpowered. And if you think my meta is too young for that or too fresh that elves are doing it, I mean, you don't have to look any further than Clash of Kings and see how well elves are doing. But it was a great tournament. Alex was a great player, and I look forward to seeing him down at Masters. With my 4th place finish, I think it's going to be enough to get me into Masters. This was a fun tournament. I really like this list and this army. I really, it has so much to paint, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to paint it all. I'll probably play Brotherhood at Masters just because it's fully painted. It looks nice, and the more experience I get, the more that I see what I can be better at with Brotherhood. And I feel like they're a good army. I don't feel like they're excellent. I think they're missing Bane Chant, and Bane Chant would really push them to be super super competitive in my opinion. But the Abyssal Dwarfs, I love this style of play. I mean, look at my opponent's face with these big hordes running around and just being such a headache for them. I love when someone puts some muscle into them and a slave unit just stays. It's pretty funny. But I guess that's it, man. I had a good time at this tournament. I can't believe we had 22 people out. I thank everybody that came out to support nerdhammer.net and the game and Adventurers Guild. Ended up winning a $50 gift certificate, so I just bought more paints and shit. It was awesome. But yeah, it was a good time, man, and thanks for everyone coming out. Thanks for watching the battle reports, and we will catch you on the next one.